Hey, Rob.
Hey, Darla.
Hey, I've missed you.
I know. Got a
Hey,
few weeks off.
I know exactly, right? So we've got some great news to share with everybody in the audience tonight, but to find out, they're going to have to stay tuned to the very end of tonight's awesome and incredible training.
Yeah. So get your notebooks ready, guys. We got a bunch of great speakers. I mean, this is stuff people have been messaging, asking us, how can I get a hold of this message? How do I get a recording of this? Well, it's going to get here tonight. It's reruns, but it's by popular demand. So a lot of nuggets you want to keep a hold of, and make sure you stay to the end because we got exciting announcements you do not want to miss.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Take our own applause. Yay. It's Tuesday again, kids. Glad that you are with us.
Got a big show tonight.
A big show. Like last week was big, and we had some great, incredible speakers. Mike Pressler is hysterical.
Yep.
Just hysterical. Funny.
And we gave you a taste of the vault too last week.
Yes.
We gave you. We got Peggy, Mark,
Mark Tassani.
Bill. Yeah, Bill last week. Got part one of Bill last week. So this week you're going to get another dip into the vault. We'll give you part two of Bill. We got Sam Shepard, Mike Sharp. It's going to be huge. So like I said, this show is not only going to be big. This is a long show. We'll probably go a little bit over.
We're going to be a little over. We're just telling you up front, about 10 minutes, maybe 15.
Yeah.
Right? Over. So make a plan for it. The upside of that is, and we go ahead and go to the coming up graphic. The upside is that you're going to get 10 more minutes for the rally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Remember that the rally goes until we go off the air.
Just like last week.
Just like last week. We'll go over the rules again. As you know now, we're recorded. Right? And so I will say this, make sure you're watching. I hope you watched last week because we're going to be like Disney. We're bringing it out of the vault and then putting it back in the vault. So you aren't going to get it again. So make sure you watch this time.
The game will always be played live.
Yes.
So
this will blow your minds. So we're going to do the rally just like we did last week. We're going to be counting you. We'll be announcing you. And though the winner from last week and the winner from this week will get to be live with us on next week, July 28th. So are you a player that plays?
And you get the stuff you usually get.
You get all the cup and the
10-minute
time
Zoom with Andy with your team,
right.
all that stuff.
But here's the question, just like last week, are you a player who is playing when no one's watching?
Yep.
We'll see, right? So that's all very exciting. Why don't you go ahead and do the social stuff?
Yeah, we got the social stuff like always. So
we're watching you.
If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, make sure you do that. You can hit the bell icon. If you need to share that with anybody, they're asking how can they watch. It's youtube.com/getbigorgohome. You hit the bell icon, you'll get a notification anytime we go live. If you go on Facebook, we're at Let's Get Bigger Go Home. Instagram at SNSD Factory, Twitter at SNSD Factory. Oh,
sorry.
got caught off guard.
I know.
So yeah. And then the rally, right? So.
Well, this is actually the social wall.
Oh,
just one more little thing.
Yeah.
But it does have the text number for the rally on it.
Yep. It's a text number there, and you can use those hashtags and those mentions. All the details are there. So if you want to appear on the social feed, you can get that. Just watching it yourself. If you want to go to getbigorgohome.com and click on social feed, you can see anybody who's using that hashtag, anybody who's mentioned us on Facebook. As long as those posts are public, we're going to be able to pull them in.
Gotta be public.
And yeah, YouTube comments aren't going to show up there. Direct messages, private messages, emails, those won't show up. Private posts won't show up. But we've got the text line for those who don't have social media.
Okay, remember, this is how the rally is going to go. We are counting every individual person, and you must text 404-465-1830 is the text number. You're going to text RVP, your RVP's last name, but your solution number.
Yep.
One per text. So you can only text one from each number because we want to make sure that we're counting each person individually.
Yep.
So you're not going to do the RVP group text. This is going to be just like last week. You're going to have everybody on your team go straight to the individual text from every RVP team.
Yep. If you're
right?
watching, just
You
report.
should be texting,
Yeah, right now.
right?
just
So
put the
Trish
number-
is going to join us.
and if you've got an RVP that's Walter and Darren Charles, like I've said before,
Oh, yeah, that's true, right?
You might need to specify a little bit. You know who you are, the ones that
That have the confusion.
So that's the only thing I would suggest
So
on top of
here's
that.
the part, right? We're recorded, but Trish is
I'm
counting
live.
you live, right?
Yep.
So you want to just quick remind them?
So just keep on texting, but if you have already texted, you only need to do it once.
Yes.
It does show up, and I don't count you a second time. So that's
a
the
good
rule
point.
there. But just text in, and I'm counting. I'm here, I'm live, and I'm taking care of this.
One
All
solution
right.
number
Per
from one
text.
phone number.
All right, very good. That's going to be
Perfect.
awesome. All right, we've got one more graphic, I think. It's got the cup on it, so we can all remember what we're going to win the cup. We're going to win
The time
10
with Andy.
minutes with Andy on a Zoom, and you're going to be live next week on July 28th.
Special recognition.
With last week's winner and this week's winner for special recognition for playing the game even when we're not live. Because I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? So we're actually going to go to Andy
Yeah.
next.
Take it away.
Mr. Young.
All right, and yes, we're being taped, which is a wonderful thing. I wish we did this every week because this is the 14th take for me right now. Matt told me first time, quit picking your nose, quit scratching your head, don't touch yourself there. So here on, this is the he's cut. But anyway, here we are, 14th take. And I think they're getting something special. We have not announced what they're getting, right? The big prize for playing while
Oh, yeah, they get to be live on Zoom on the 28th with us.
live on Zoom with us
Live
on the
with
28th.
us. Yes, sir.
And there's something else later on for August by plan? No, maybe we're going to like,
No.
he said, I like stuff like where you play, don't know why you're playing, but you play the game hard anyway.
Yes,
Trish is going
yes.
to be here, and you know Trish. And Pat, Pat's always watching too. Pat is watching every week. Trish is,
Who's
those two
playing?
together, watch out. You better watch yourself, okay? But, I mean, they're going to play the game. I'm thinking that, August 7th and 8th,
Oh,
Winston-Salem, you
that's a
might get,
great
could be
idea.
some special stuff going on. I'm the kind of guy, when we went to see Art Williams first time, I invited 32 people, had a 32-passenger luxury bus, told everybody Sunday morning, 8 a.m., be there, plan on being there all day, Sunday morning, 8 a.m., and 25 people showed up, and about 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock we leave. We left 8 on the nose. 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 2 o'clock, I get calls from the other 7 people. Like, I see all the cars, but the door's locked. Where y'all at? And I just said, oh, we're up in Highlands having brunch with Art Williams. And all of them, all 7 of them, well, if I'd known you were going to go see Art, I'd have been there. Yeah, I love that crap. As Janine Martin said to me one day, is everything a test? Absolutely. So we're kind of not here, but we are here. We got great content, so play the game hard. That's where people win. That's where championships are won, by what you do when nobody else is watching, as they said. So I think about, where we are. The August 7th, 8th is going to be off the charts. We'll be live again on the 28th in here. And I just want to challenge you to go out there and bust your butt and make this the biggest month. I know some of you had big months in March, April, May, and June. But, I mean, coming out of the gate, July started great, too. And, I mean, you got to finish. That's the main thing. You can't be the Atlanta Falcons, 3 minutes and 23 seconds left in the third quarter with a 25-point lead. You could never lose a game like that. Oh, yeah, they did. Oh, by the way, I think the Super Bowl I was at this year, I want to say with 6 minutes and 14 seconds left in the fourth quarter, 49ers had an 11-point lead. All they need is a first down. Well, they lost, and they lost by a bunch, okay? 21 unanswered points. So don't take anything for granted. You leave anything to chance will eat your lunch. Now, Mike Sharpe, I mean, that's why we kind of picked some stuff out of the vault. Mike Sharpe at the Mercedes-Benz last year delivered, in my opinion, the greatest post-A.L. Williams, Primerica, City, all that kind of stuff, since 1990, probably the greatest speech delivered in this company. And it was so eloquent, perfect, to the point. Less than, I think it was 12 minutes, nailed it. And we talked about that. We show a clip of that. But the reality is, that guy, in less than 3 years, in those special times when the interest rates were 21%, everything was upside down. Sound familiar? Everything upside down. This upside down is way worse than that one. So many of us, 30 months, 36 months, 2 years, built dynasties here. Most of it was done in 2-3 years. And you can do the same thing. Mike Sharpe built the second biggest hierarchy in Primerica. And the only reason it's the second biggest is because he's under Buisson, and Buisson's the biggest hierarchy, and most of that's Mike Sharpe. He's got a bunch of other people, but Mike Sharpe built this dadgum thing. He has such a simple message, and not easy, okay, but simple. He talks about all that, and I just thought this was one of the best pieces that I'd ever seen. Mike Sharpe just nails it, so take a look.
And I think I want to go back for just a minute and talk to you a little about how I made the decision, how I came to it, and what happened because of it. But I was in the business for about 4 months, driving down to Doug Hartman's meeting, taking people in my car. They're telling me how broke they are, how bad it is. I'm waiting for them to sign up so I can become a district or a division that night. And they'd come out of the op meeting room and they would basically say, "It's interesting," which is code for, no, I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to tell you right now. And I did that for about 4 months, 3 or 4 months, and then I had a chance to go to Vail, Colorado and hear Art Williams speak. I had no idea what he looked like. I mean, I thought he was a New York City businessman. I got to this little meeting, and there was this kind of heavy-set, bald-headed guy, you know, and I thought he was like the hired speaker or something. And he started saying things I had never heard before. He said, "You know, I don't know if we can make it. I don't know if we'll win. I don't know if we can keep the banks paying commissions. But if we do, I promise you can make all you possibly can. Be all you can be. Call your own shots. Be your own boss. Be somebody you're proud of." And it was like I was in a bubble, and it was me. And there was nobody else he was talking to. I mean, it just struck me right inside. And I didn't know that I was waiting for something like that all my life. Just like there are people all over Northern California, Northern America, waiting to hear something like that. They haven't heard it yet because we haven't told them. You know, and I knew that just wanting this, just hoping this amounts to nothing. It's doing something. And I knew I had to make a decision right then and there. And I went up to my little hotel room, and I paced around the desk over and over and over again, and I knew, and I picked up the phone, I called my boss, and I quit my job. And understand, I had no money in the bank. It took me 9 months to get that job. I didn't tell my wife. There's nobody that loved you would say, "I think that's a good decision. I think that makes a lot of sense, Mike. You've made 2 sales so far. You ought to give up everything, go full time." These decisions are made alone. You know if it's right for you and when it's right for you. And rather than feeling, when I quit, rather than feeling like, "Oh no, the pressure's on," it was exactly the opposite. It was like somebody lifted all the weight off of me. I was free. And that was my first experience of what it was to be totally committed and what freedom it brought in your life. It's exactly the opposite of what the world teaches us, which is you keep your options open. Always, be committed to one thing. It sets you free. It helps define who you are. It gives you a peace and a joy. And when you know that's who you are, when things go wrong, which they surely will, when things don't turn out exactly the way you want them to, as they surely will, you won't use that time to reevaluate your commitment, to reevaluate whether you should continue, because you've already made your mind up on that. That is finished and that is done. And making that commitment has given me what? That decision, $96 million later. What if I'd have listened to everybody else? What if I'd have asked for advice? Wouldn't have happened. So you have to come to the same conclusion. You have to come to the same conclusion that this is who you are, this is what you're about, and this is what you're going to do. You should come back to this meeting this evening with joy, with happiness, because you made that decision. You can be completely ready to go in 6 months, confidence and raring to go. Doesn't matter who you are. We've talked so much about how great we are. It's hard for me to even explain the kind of things Martin and I have been able to do, the place we've been able to go, the incredible friends we have been able to make, the sense that you're doing something that's good, that's right for people, for the widows, for the kids, for their future, for their savings. What a place to be. When you're in line with us, there is nothing wrong with your life. You're giving every minute. You're encouraging every minute. You're loving every minute. You're winning it's an unbelievable place. So I want to encourage you sometime between now and tonight to make that decision, whatever it takes. Make it with your significant other. Sit down, and this is the final stop for you. This is the end. You are now a American. This is not a means to an end. This is the end. That's where you have to be. And it's fun. It's exciting. It's awesome. You know, coming up here with 48 other awesome people to get this Circle of Champion rings is just a tremendous honor. And you look at those folks, and I see their history, and I know what they've done, and it's hard not to cry after almost every person gets up there, because we know what some of these folks have gone through. And this ring is special. But there's another ring, and there's only one of these. Yep, there's one of these. And I want to challenge you millennials to come and get this ring. It's lonely. We need another one. Thank you very much.
All right, that's just an amazing video. I mean, I could watch that over and over. And as I said, my favorite, I think the best field speech ever in A.L. Williams Primerica in the 43-year history. And Mike Sharpe's a guy who, Bob Turley, way back in the day where we did auctions and things like that. And Mike set up a auction for anybody who wanted to help out with the charity. They could bring 10 people out to his home in Pasadena and basically be Mike and Marna Sharpe for, 2 days. And we went out to George Hamilton's cigar bar. We went to all the little fancy places and restaurants and went over to the house and just got to hang out with Mike and Marna and just, lived a life. And this, this is like 20, 25 years ago. I think it's 25, 28 years ago. And the impact that made on myself, and I think about the people that were there, John Lennon, Larry Weidel, and Richie Falcone, Ivan Earl. I mean, we were all out there, and we were like little kids in a candy store with the beautiful view. And, Mike and Marna have always been a great example. They've always been a great example. He's, as you heard right there, he's about just a few weeks away from going over $100 million in earnings at Primerica. $100 million, a tenth of $1 billion in Primerica. And he's just not only been a great example, the only $5 million earner. And I just want to challenge you, because there might be some people out here younger than millennials and older than millennials. You can still go get that ring, man. It is wide open right now to go for the $5 million. But he's always been a great example, always been a great Primerican. And I mean, he's a great man. I will tell you that. He's impacted the lives of so many people that I'm sure he has no idea the far-reaching success that he's brought to a lot of people by his example and his tireless efforts to help everybody. He's been great in my career. Always loved being around him, watching him. I remember being at the Waldorf Astoria during the IPO and sitting there with him and a bunch of millennials across the way and just enjoying listening to the stories, of everything that's happened in the old days. But anyway, Mike, there you are, Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great. And just happy to have you tonight and hear a little of your story and some things that are going on, what you think, where we're at in the company, and the opportunity everybody has. I appreciate you being here, man.
Oh, love to. Thank you for having me. What I think of Andy and what kind of leader he has been over the years, and one who has never stopped leading, not even for a minute. I believe Andy's promoted more RVPs than just about anybody in the last 10 years, if not everybody. And they just show, he just loves it. It's part of his DNA and it's in his blood. And we've always had so much fun together. Yeah, I thought I'd just take a minute, and you heard some of that story, but I think it's really important that who's ever listening to this, you need to believe that you can do this, that you can win here. And, one thing I love about Primerica is how we can take people with no background, with nothing that would suggest that they could go on and become regional vice presidents, become super successful, and they grow and they develop. I was just a young guy, 27 years old. I was working at Westinghouse. It was a job that was just so wrong for me in every way. And one day, a friend of mine says, "Mike, come and take a look at this insurance deal." And I thought, oh my gosh, everybody must know I'm depressed and hate what I'm doing, because who wants to do life insurance? But I went anyway, and I went to the meeting. I sat in the back of the room, and I was just, the opportunity looked so good. And in those days, I mean, I think the highest paid guy in the company was making $10,000 or $20,000 a month, and I just wanted to make $3,000 or $4,000 a month and be free, because it was a whole lot more than the $1,050 a month that I was earning then. So I went back home, talked to Martin about it. I would bring people down to the meeting, and like you heard me say in that little clip, people wouldn't say yes. They would just say, maybe, or it's interesting, and all that kind of stuff. And I just couldn't understand why people wouldn't do it. What I come to understand when I went and saw Art Williams, like you saw in that clip, was that I just wasn't committed. And people can see it in your eyes if you're just treating them like guinea pigs, or you're kind of hoping this thing works. When I quit my job that day, everything was different then. Now I am committed. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to be no matter what. And people can see that in you. People can tell when you mean it. And then they start feeling like, gosh, he's going to win, and they don't want to be left behind. They say that fear is not a good motivator, but it's a great motivator for me. I do not want to be the last one in the room, or the one that doesn't win while all my friends go out and win. So anyway, Primerica has done so much for so many people. And really, and one of the things that I love about our business and what we do is it doesn't matter when you get involved or when you joined, 5 years ago, 15, 20, or tonight, you have the opportunity to make as much or more as anybody in the business. It's the way we developed our compensation system. You don't have to do anywhere near the amount of business that Andy and I do to make as much or more than we earn. You could do so much less, because it has so much to do with what you do and who you recruit and who you bring on board personally. Because the closer they are to you, of course, the more you can make. And Primerica has given us an unbelievable life. Now you're part of a team there. Where else can you go and work to be successful? And you have everybody around you. You've got Andy, you've got your uplines rooting for you every time you come in the office. I mean, here, when you go out and you try to, learn and sit across the kitchen table for the first time, and it doesn't work for you, you walk back in the office, and what? Everybody's waiting for you. They're rooting for you. They want to help you. No matter how many times we keep coming back and encourage you to grow and win and develop. I found over the years that what keeps people from really winning here is not their skills. It's not any of that. It's just fear. Fear that people won't accept them. Fear that they can't win for whatever reason. And one of the ways that I used to train people, because I understood that, because what I've learned is the more you actually sit and try to learn something before you do it, the bigger of a deal it gets, the more nervous you become. It becomes like a huge event. Just calling a friend and making an appointment now becomes a huge deal. So I would used to take people, and I'm not saying you should do this, but I'm just telling you what I did. I would tell people, look, we're going to go out and see a couple of your friends tonight. Don't worry about a thing. I'm going to do all myself. You're just going to sit there and watch it. And they would just sit there, and they figured, okay, they'd make a few dollars and I do all the work. Who's afraid of that? But then when I would get out to the place, I would say to the client, Mr. Client, Joe here is going to make his very first presentation tonight. And Joe would break out in a sweat and freak out, but he couldn't get up and run, could he? So he would start doing it. He'd try to do it. He'd fumble. I'd laugh. The client laughed. We'd get through the process, and it would work. And because the job is to get my new recruit to not be afraid. People are not going to bite you. They want to be helped. People like what we do. They thank you. And once you get people over that fear factor, once you get them over that, now the sky's the limit. Now you can go out and build. You can grow, you can run, you can apply the things that we talk about. Primerica today accommodates a lot of different people. You can accommodate the person who just wants to personally go out there and sell and build a client base just of his own, to go out and do securities and do basically just that. We have lots of people that do that, and God bless them. Some of them are phenomenal and they make, a great living. Then you have people, which I wanted to build an organization. I wanted to not have to go out all the time and work. So I went out and recruited and trained and trained. I can tell you that I probably only went out on 5 calls in a 40-year career by myself. I knew that I was unemployed. As soon as I walk out the door, I have nowhere else to go. I wanted to train someone, take somebody with me, inspire those people. I wanted another full-timer. I wanted to build a team and a group and a family of people. And I would only do that if we could get in the trenches together, to go ring that doorbell together, to have a nervous stomach, to wonder what's going to happen, and go out and face it and do it and deal with it. And so when Andy talks about coming close to making 100 million, understand that almost every penny of that is an override, is a reward for finding someone who's going to love the business the same way that you love the business. That is what I wanted to do, and that's what I wanted to build. And that's what I always encourage people to do, because that brings you this future and the security and the steady income that won't be stopped. I mean, this income, I used to be a young guy. I'm almost 68 years old right now. Sooner or later, I'm going to pass on, and this is going to go on to my kids or to whoever else. It's going to continue to go and continue to run and continue to operate. And you need to view it like this. And you get involved in this business. This is nothing that the business has to prove to you, okay? If you're thinking like that, you're wrong. We have proved this for 40-something years. We have books that thick of people that make $100,000 a year. We have 100 guys making $1 million a year, and $2 million, and $3 million, and scores of them making $500,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year. We have nothing to prove to you. You need to prove something to yourself. You think about how many people we don't corner the market on hard work. There are people all over America that work in real estate, work in oil, work in all these different things. And guess what? They chose the wrong career. Think of all the people that work in oil now. And 10 years ago, we're so excited about what's happening. Now they don't have a work. Or think about people that were in real estate when the mortgage all busted. All those offices that went up. Did they work harder than us? No, we work harder than them. No, they chose the wrong career path, or one that didn't work. Primerica is flawless. Everybody will always need some sort of protection. Everybody's always going to need to save money. Some people are always going to need that. So when you decide to do this, you just stay focused. This is what you do. This is what you're about. You're going to become an evangelist, if you will, for Primerica. That's kind of how you are, and your business will flourish when they see the commitment that you make. They see the commitment that you believe things will start working for you. This is not a complicated business, and it's really not even a hard business when your attitude is great and you overcome the fear and anxiety about how to do the business. I know that's short little bit. I hope, Andy, can you hear me? Or
Yeah.
I hope.
We're here. Okay, you got me good. Hey, so couple things.
Any questions you'd like to ask?
You want that? Yeah. Okay. First off, one of the things I love you said in your speech was that a lot of times people talk that this is a self-development company, and people, we develop people as leaders. Part of our job is to develop people. And I loved it when you said we don't develop anybody, we find people. Talk about maybe the passion of the numbers, not necessarily the people, giving everybody the equal opportunity shot to come in, give them everything you got. But it's up to the individual, and don't get over yourself thinking that, because if you develop them, that means if they fail, then you failed them, So touch on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think, remember this, folks, when you're out there, you are not responsible for other people's success. Once you start feeling responsible, the burden gets very intense, the emotional draining gets very intense, and it's not good. And if you bring on 4 or 5 people, you pour your heart into these people and they don't work, you start blaming yourself, and all of a sudden you start thinking, heck, this business, this is hard, this business doesn't work. And that is not true. You may increase your odds of people winning when you pour your heart into them in a good way and you befriend them in a good way. But overall, you find these people, you find them, you don't develop them. You remember, I don't know if you remember, Andy, but I used to tell that story about if you plant an acorn in the ground, it's going to be an oak tree. If you plant a squash plant, it's going to be a squash plant. You can trim and prune and cut and hope and wish that the squash becomes an oak, but it won't. Just like you can take here a dud, someone that won't do it, and help, encourage, talk to, motivate, they will not become an RVP because they inside have decided not to. There are things that they won't do, attitudes that they won't embrace, and therefore they're not going to win at the end. But that is not your fault. I've never brought anybody on board personally that I didn't believe could become an RVP. Nobody, not one. I don't recruit people just for the sake of recruiting them. That was me. But you're not, and I have been wrong most of the time about who's going to do it and who's not, because you can't read the heart of a person. You can't tell. So you just want to be out. If you're an individual wanting to win in this business, recruiting needs to be a daily life, a daily passion of out there talking to people about why you love the business, not why I love the business, not why Andy loves the business, not why, how much money somebody else makes, why you love the business. And then you will attract people like you, people with the same feelings. Those people will be a lot easier to motivate. You'll befriend them a lot easier. You'll create a team a lot easier. But on a daily basis, you need to think about, who am I bringing on board to help build my future with and help them build their future with? I love this business. Even talking about it right now makes me, I still miss the in the trenches days of being in it and doing it.
Hey, so Mike, that's just great stuff, because a lot of times people just overthink everything it is about the numbers, and that you great example. Do what you're supposed to do, embrace the repetition, and get it done. What I'd like you to do, and if it takes 5-10 minutes, whatever, I want you to focus on your 2 eyes, Italy and Israel, because I've listened to you in all kinds of different places talk about going to Italy, and I guess you just get on a tour bus and see the Colosseum and stuff, and then Israel, get on another tour bus. Don't. I know that's not what happens.
That's not what I do.
I know. So I want to hear about it separately, whichever one you want to start with. Let's just hear about that, because I know the look in your eye when you start talking about it. It's just.
Well, I think what you want is a little dream selling. Martin and I have, we've been able to travel the world. We were just talking tonight to my daughter-in-law. I think I've been to Europe, approaching 100 times now, over the last number of years. And one of the greatest things that ever happened to me was, I was a poor kid. I mean, I grew up on the sticks. I didn't even know anybody that went to college. My nearest neighbor was a mile away down the road. I mean, I carried chickens and cleaned out water ditches and that's my upbringing. And all of a sudden you grow. I mean, I always wanted to grow and learn and do things, but all of a sudden you go from that, you work hard in this business, and now you can go anywhere you want in the world. The greatest hotels, the greatest places, the greatest meals, and the greatest style is one awesome thing. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where making some money makes a difference. But I took my entire family, my mom, dad, for their 50th over to Italy. We stayed in Coco Chanel's old place and all that kind of stuff. So we've just had tremendously fantastic times traveling the world. Italy is one of my favorite. We've been, Marna loves England and London, and we go there often. And but Israel now, that's one side of it, the pleasure and the joy and the reward of sticking with this and winning. And, the company gives you a taste of that by trying to take you to the great places of the world and paying for everything just to warm you up to it. Then you can go do your own. Now, Israel's another story. So the other part of life is not just what you get, but what you give. And so I'm on the board of something called JH Israel. We built a large facility, a huge facility on the West Bank. We've taken 25,000 IDF people through, and we're just building trust between all of us, between the Jews and the Arabs and us and the Christians, and just building an amazing thing that we've been able to do there. And I'm going back, I guess, for my 11th time in October, and we've got a number of Primerica guys with us who just it's been kind of a life-changing thing. We've done things here in Primerica called the Band of Brothers. We started in my barn about 11 years ago, 30 guys, and now across the country, as it's grown and developed, we've taken about 25,000 men through this course on how to become men, how to deal with your addictions, how to deal with your fears, how to become a better Primerican. Because one thing that happens here to people, they want to win, they want to make it, they want to be somebody, and then they're confronted with their own weaknesses and their own problems, and how do you fix those things? And we try to help them go through that process. So, Andy, we've had an amazing life, and it's not over yet. And the giving has become a bigger part of our life now. We have schools that we have down in Haiti and various places like that, and it seems to be what Primericans do. They give back.
A couple stories on what about your parents, kids, some things that looking back, starting out, carrying chickens around, never think you're going to do anything big.
Yeah. Okay. Well, try this one out. So way back when, we decided to rent a yacht. So we got like 100-foot yacht, and it was just my 3 boys, a friend I brought to help me around, and myself. And we're going in the Mediterranean, and we come cruising in to Monte Carlo. And we had like the 2nd largest yacht park there, right? And my parents flew in from America, and they flew in and they met us at the yacht. And it's like 4 stories tall, this yacht. And all my little boys are dressed up in blue blazers, and I'm in a blue blazer under white pants and all that. My parents come, and we're sitting on the top, of the yacht, overlooking all Monte Carlo, that whole bay there. And here's my folks who worked for the telephone company, and us sitting. I can still remember sitting there going, "Can you believe that this is happening?" And we've been able to send my parents all over the world. We rented an entire, it used to be a monastery, but now it wasn't. It was like a 5-7 bedroom place. We stayed there, had their 50th anniversary there, brought everybody in, and we've been able, obviously, to create tremendous memories. And I hope that's what you're looking for, Andy, to give you guys some dream selling.
Absolutely. That's great stuff. And then just where we are today, what if somebody did what Mike Sharpe did in this era today, what would that look like?
Do you know how much money? I mean, listen, in 1988, we didn't even keep track of these kind of things, but I got an award, I think it was 87 down in Mexico City, and Art said, number 1 through base and first, and he called my name. Well, we didn't even keep track of through first, so I didn't even notice it. So what we were doing for a while was about 3,000 apps a month through first generation, through base and first. And could you imagine, Andy? And that lasted for 3 or 4 years, and then it, pretty big. But on that, if you did that today, that would be doing about $3.5 million a month through your first generation. What would you make, Andy? $1.5 million a month? And don't tell me this opportunity is amazing, just amazing. And we seem to be a company of destiny. I mean that in a real way. You look at when this coronavirus thing hit, many of us thinking, "Oh no, we're going to get what? Nobody will see us. We have meetings. They're closing everything down. We're going to get hurt worse than we've ever been hurt." What happens? The opposite. This very Zoom I'm talking through increased everything about our company. We had 2 record months, and I guess Andy says we're having another one. I mean, it has changed our company, and it's going to get bigger and better and better. We are, when I say a company of destiny, I believe that. I believe that someday everyone, just like years ago, every middle class family you knew went to H&R Block to have their taxes done. Everybody. Someday, everybody's going to say, so are you at Primerica? I mean, Primerica does your investing and all of that. That's going to happen. We're just beginning. We only have a couple million clients. Wait till we have 20 million. It's going to happen, and you want part of that.
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. And then another thing about building is I've watched a bunch of people, even in my own hierarchy, you know, run a $80,000, $100,000 base shop, sometimes for 4, 5, 8, 10 years, and then look up and they've only got like 5, 6, 8 first generations and maybe 12 RVPs. Address that a little bit.
Well, yeah, one of the tensions in the company, and it's a good tension, is when you build the big base shop, you know, you make good money and people, you know, start recognizing you all the time, and you can have a tendency to forget why the base shop is there. The base shop is there to find and develop RVPs that you can promote out who can be just like you. The key is doing it the right way. Build a big base shop so everybody can see what a big base shop is, so they can feel it, know it, and touch it, and want to duplicate it. But never think to yourself, I'm building this base shop, I'm going to get the recognition. You know, it's a balance. But the minute you get your eyes off everybody else and put them on yourself, which is very subtle and very easy to do, you just are creating a thing to make some money for a little while. I had hundreds of RVPs and dozens that got promoted out routinely because that's what I was thinking about. You want them promoted, and you want them self-sufficient, and you want them to be saving a little bit of money every month so they're here forever. So build a big base shop by all means, but remember why you're doing it.
And then one last thing, Mike, I appreciate your time. You've given us more than we had talked about, but when you went to see Art Williams in the early days and kind of, you know, what was the kind of thing that blew you out of the water, got your attention? What kind of feelings did you have about, you know, what you saw with the opportunity here?
Yeah, Art, you know, I was going to write Art a letter. You know, he touched a place in me that I'm not sure any other motivator had ever touched in me. He made me feel like he really wanted us to win. He meant it, and he did mean it. He wanted us to win. He wanted the sales guys to be king. And at the same time, he was able to hurt you in a good way. The way a father can spank you when you're a kid, and then you feel all better when it's over, you know. Art knew how to keep you motivated from constantly, and made you love the business, made you feel like we are so lucky to be involved in the business where everybody's family, where everybody's competing, where everybody knows they're doing a good thing. I mean, think about what we do, Andy. I mean, even the scripture says, the only thing I ask is you take care of the widow and the orphans. And what do? That's all we do. Something good. Maybe the only 2 professions mentioned in the entire Bible, you know. We're doing it every single day of our lives, doing the right thing. So Art was he just touched me in a way that I've never been motivated like that.
Yeah. So, Mike, we really appreciate your time, and I'm so proud to be your teammate. You've been such a great example. Look forward to getting together with you, hoist a glass of wine when we get out of this mess.
Yeah, man.
Have a toast. But appreciate you, buddy. Love you, man.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Make it happen.
All right,
see you later.
I know I said this last time when we had Mike Sharp live, but I love Mike Sharp. I love it how he weaves such believability, how he is so humble, how he is so simple. And he doesn't tell you it's easy, but he definitely does explain it, and it's so simple, right? And I just love that we drug him out of the vault from May. Highly requested. Exactly. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, we're still counting you. We can go ahead and put the rally graphic up. Trish is going to join us And we're going to remind you about the phone number and the 404-465-1830. Remember, you're typing RVP's last name, and then your solution number. That's all you should put on the text. One submission per text number.
Yep.
Correct? So Trish has joined us, and how's it going in the count?
It's going great. Y'all are doing a great job, and just keep them coming. We have to the end of the broadcast to count everybody. So if you have a question about who your RVP is, go to your upline, double check your RVP so that we get you in the right place. But everybody's getting counted, so and y'all are doing great.
What if they don't have a solution?
I was just going to ask
If
that.
you don't have a solution number, you can either put XXX or you can use the word guest. Either one of those work, as long as you've got that basic information. If you don't know your solution number or it hadn't come through yet, XXX or guest.
Yeah, main thing, we need to know who your RVP is, and we need some sort of unique identifier, ideally your solution number, but anything else. Main thing is only one submission per phone number.
What do we win? What does the rally winner get to win this time? Special.
Special?
Right. We get the cup. We get 10 minutes,
yeah.
right? The little reminders.
And you get in the Zoom.
And you get to be in Zoom next week, 7/28, July 28th. You get to be live with us. And I think there might be an inkling of something else that could be coming for the rally winners who are playing with nobody else is watching. That's the key. Are you playing when no one else is watching?
And he loves that.
He does love that. He loves that a lot.
And plus, we're watching behind the scenes.
We are watching. We're watching social and we're watching YouTube
Yep.
comments. We're there
Go
with
ahead
you.
and hit the thumbs up in the YouTube, by the
good
way.
reminder, right? Thumbs up. Not that way, right? The little click on the button. We're going to make you a little video so you know where to do it.
Yep.
All right. So let's go on. Thank you, Trish.
Yep.
We'll talk to you in a
I'm gonna
little
go count
bit.
some more.
So,
What do we call this big event we've got
oh
coming
my gosh,
up
this
next?
big event's been so funny. We are so ingrained in Winston-Salem that we're having a hard time calling it anything else. But it is Get Big or Go Home, a virtual event experience. But we're going to start calling it AKA Winston-Salem because also known as, right?
Yeah, to keep it short, we're just going to be GBOGH, AKA WS. For brevity's sake.
Yeah, right. You can all remember all that.
AVEE.
So remember, 2 days, August 7th and 8th, put them on your calendars. Times are still being worked out. 2 days of awesomeness. We're going to be looking for VIPs. And I would expect there's a whole bunch of VIPs this time.
Oh, yeah.
Still 10 double-digit
Business is
recruit make you
booming.
VIP, right? Just
Yep.
same as before. We'll have the VIP huddle again. Contests are going to be running. We're going to have some more, tons and tons of recognition and incredible speakers.
Andy was kind of
You
hinting
can-
at it just a minute
He
ago. So yeah,
was.
we
It
got some
was.
special recognition in the works. It's going to
Yes.
be, like always, even better than the last one. So
I know that you we even amaze ourselves. We come up with so much stuff sometimes, right? So August 7th and 8th, virtual event experience, Get Big or Go Home. If you are an RVP that has not filled out the RVP home office form for me, you need to go out to getbigorgohome.com under the downloads tab and get that over to me so we can include all of your team in recognition. Don't forget.
and everybody who's attending, go ahead and register, get your ticket. It's
Free. Don't wait.
Getbigorgohome.com.
Like everybody should be registered.
Yep.
So you wanted to do the next segment.
Yeah, so we got Bill Arender coming up, man. This is part 2, right? So we had part 1 last week. Now we got part 2. He is probably, even though Andy's in the room, he's probably my favorite speaker.
Yikes.
Andy's over here dying. No, but I remember I joined the business and I had it was a recording from a Winston-Salem that I hadn't even been to.
Yeah.
That I got at I got it at a Super Saturday back when we were small enough to still fit in the studio at the home
Oh, wow.
office. And I got a CD and it was his speech at Winston-Salem, I guess before
Mm-hmm.
I joined the business. And that thing, I listened to that so many times in my car, driving around, going to different factories, my old job selling robots. And this
But not the SNSD factory.
But yeah, so this is what convinced me. I mean, he was what convinced me to quit my job. To realize that
That's awesome.
I love it. He's got all these different things where he talks about, if you work really hard, you think about the big house with the Lexus in the driveway, country club memberships, your kid going to the best school, boss comes up to you, starts selling you the dream, says if you work really hard, all that'll be mine. And it was just like, it was a
Gets you
dagger.
every time, right?
So yeah, this is an amazing segment. He kind of gets into the meat of the business. So we'll toss it over to Bill right now.
One of the things that never changes is what blew Art Williams' butt out of the water. We forget this. This is not capricious. It's not accidental. No one gets lucky here. Some more fortunate than others, and it made me faster. But Art Williams says in this book, and you've seen this in the Locker Room Notes book, that if you do the right things long enough, you're going to build an empire. Do the right things long enough. And one of the things that, in my mind, are the right things are the fundamentals. He said, 2 things blew my butt out of the water. This is so incredible. And they're both the same thing. And this is the thing I fell in love with. And this is the thing I went to Dallas and I believed in. And it's the core reason you're successful and the core reason I'm successful or anybody else. We've got the math and we've got compounding of people. He said, 2 things blew my butt out of the water: the rule of 72 and the power of the multiples. We can never forget this. This is our heritage. This is the genius of Art Williams. If you go to Coca-Cola and they say, and you say, what's the key to Coca-Cola? And they let you in the vault. And you go in the vault and you get the formula. Would you work that formula? Would you go out there and say, I'm gonna duplicate this formula exactly, or are you gonna go do your own thing? You see, shockingly, most people are doing their own thing. Would it shock you to learn there's a formula that Art Williams sold to Citigroup for $1 billion? A formula. They went into his vault. They said, Art, what caused all this? You got 250,000 people from 85 people, and you got people making money and having success. We want to buy that formula from you for $1 billion. And they had the formula and they gave it to us, and Art Williams gave it to us. And so many people are not working that formula. Again, you can't see it too well, but the Locker Room Notes book came from the fact that I took these steno pads, and every time Art Williams wrote something down, every time he talked, I wrote it down. That separate notebook, no other words in there other than what Art Williams spoke. Long story, 30, 35 years. I kind of kicked them around, didn't know what to do with it, truly. And Carol couldn't read my writings because she couldn't type it up. And through a series of events, I finally had to knuckle down and write and transcribe the book. Well, I finished it and sent it to Art, and I wasn't dumb. I made 100 copies just in case he said I didn't want you to do it. And he said, Bill, I love it. It's great, except there's a part in there that you need to put in. You weren't taking notes at the time. It was from the June 1977 meeting we had up in Unicoi, Georgia. And so it was 1977. He sent me his actual notes, Andy, that he spoke to us. And I put those notes word for word in this book, and it's the first chapter. And so this is the origination. This is Art telling us what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and how he was instructing us what to do. This was the formula that Citigroup paid $1 billion to get. He was giving to us. And now it's hidden. No one even knows it. So, Darla, if we show you page 7 of the Locker Room Notes book, this is it, page 7. This is Art Williams' actual writing, and it's right there, how to keep momentum going. You grow by multiplication. This is what he's telling us to do. You recruit 3 people. You field train those 3 people and get them 3 recruits. You drive each of those recruits 4 deep and explode your team to 81 people. Actually, it's a total of 110 people, 3, 9, 27, 81. That, Andy, is the formula. No one's using it. And they're wondering, how do I get back to? That's what you do. And he talks about field training. If you get the book on page 90, field training, Andy takes me to his best friend to recruit him. That best friend takes me best friend. Everything hinges upon that fourth one there. Drive each recruit 4 deep. So what I'm going to go through right now are in a short time, are some of the things that I think need to be told to your team, your army. I don't even like to call them a team. You need an army of people. Go on to the next one, Darla. Again, all based on J. Paul Getty, Art Williams thinking. Instead of having 100% income off of one, it is better to have 1% off 100. Understand, all business exists to solve problems. If a problem exists, business exists. We don't sell products. We solve problems. That's why when you join the company, they give you a solution number. You're solving that problem. And they have to understand, everybody has a problem. What is that? The problem in the job, the problem in their income. Their problem is they get 100% income off of one, and it has all its limitations and all its vulnerability. You want unlimited income? You want a secure income? You have to have 1% off 100. Our job is not to recruit people, but to convert them from 100% off one thinking to 1% off 100 thinking. Darla? Again, I love quotes, and I love using quotes in our presentation. I'll do an opportunity meeting tonight, and I'll use these quotes. This is what we show in our opportunity meeting. Sam Walton, Walmart, of course, you must learn to multiply yourself so you can be in more than one place at a time. Again, 1% off 100. Key word there, learn. Most people don't know even that their multiplication is available out there for them, and I'll talk about that in a second, Darla. Again, compounding is the 9th wonder of the world if you use it. What did Art Williams say? 2 things blew his butt out of the water: the rule of 72 and the power of the multiples. Both of those have to do with compounding. Very few people on this company understand compounding. They understand it with mutual funds, but they don't understand it with people. Darla? This to me is brilliant. Wallace Wattles wrote a book called The Science of Getting Rich, and I think 1910. Listen to this, the brilliance of where we are today. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, and the rest of the industrialists have been the unconscious agents in necessary work of systematizing and organizing productive industry. They will be succeeded by the agents, that's me and you, of the multipliers, who will organize the machinery of distribution. See, you have to see yourself as a multiplier, not an agent. You have to see yourself as a multiplier, not a representative. Darla. Again, Art Williams' game plan. This is from the Locker Room Notes book. RVP is a starting line. Why do you want to be an RVP? To create RVPs. To what? Have a company within a company. We want to get people to the RVP position and get a high contract, get bigger overrides, big bonus. Bonus system doesn't create companies within companies. To be your own boss. And what's the goal? Build 7 to 10 RVPs who have 7 to 10 RVPs. You have 7. That's your job. Andy's got 11. Who brought him 11? That's how we all did it, through replacement. The greatest gift Art Williams ever gave Bill Arinder was replacement. Next one, Darla. Again, this is how you build a company. Most people recruit people, and what they try to do, Andy, and I love Zoom because why? They can't test right now. Their job is to build width. Your job is to build depth. Most people recruit people and say, call me when you get some appointments and I'll go out there and talk to your friends. And they die with their 25 name list in their pocket. You're going to see in a second Art Williams saying, leave this here, Darla, that all people need to know, must believe, they only need 3 people. Remember, Art Williams got up in 2011 and said, here's how we did it. 3 who get 3 who get 3. And I'll show you that in a second. But look at this. Your job is to what? Help them get to 3, and your job to take those 3 and drive it down 4 deep. Your job. Very few people ever commit to taking people 4 deep. They'll commit to helping you recruit 3 people and maybe getting you to the field training bonus. And that's our system. You receive overrides from all what? All these people are buying the product, and who's selling them the product? You are. 80% of Primerica's business should be internal consumption. By what? But you got to take somebody, and the way I do it, Andy, is I say, listen, I'll get you at least 4 to 10 people in a week. If I don't do that, I'll buy you a steak dinner. You promise them a steak dinner in a week, then take those people, and what do? Zoom, 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 Zoom. We don't want to Zoom. We want to Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. We tell people, give me the names of 3 people. We'll do a Zoom call for you tonight and get you 3. We'll take those 3 people and get them Zoom calls, and you'll have 9 people tomorrow night, 27 people Thursday night, 81 people Friday night. You can have 110 people in a matter of weeks, and maybe a couple of months. And watch what happens. Thank you, darling. The next one, please. Again, your ticket to freedom, the 3-9-27. Art Williams said that. Here's how we did it. Then, of course, the next one, Darla. Even Einstein said this, a century ago, just about. He said that the theory of relativity is nothing compared to the 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3 to create RVPs. Einstein changed my life with that principle I saw back at Harvard back in 1920. Here's what Art Williams said. They must believe they only need 3. And you must believe they only need 3. You know something? We know about the rule of 72, which was next one, Darla. Again, the power. You know how many times I saw Art Williams do this? Thousands of times. Every time he gets up and speaks, he talks about this, and everyone has seen this. But do you believe it? To go out there and get 2 people and multiply that to 256 versus 4 people, 65,000 versus 6 people, 1.6 million. Art Williams took 7 people and multiplied it to 250,000 code numbers in 13 years. 13. Next one, Darla. And of course, you see this Larry Weidel one. These are all RVPs. Look at all the RVPs he has. And let me just confess to you. Larry Weidel cannot recruit or sell himself out of a wet paper bag. He can't do it. Larry's not a good salesman. Larry's not a good recruiter, but Larry understood the power of multiplication, and he knew how to what? Take people, those 3, and turn them into 9. He knew how to take those 28, turn them into 66, 61. He has not had a base shop since 1983 or 84. Has not. Look at all this happened in spite of him, and all this will happen in spite of you. Compounding happens with you or without you. You just got to what? Start it from the beginning. Next one, Darla. Never forget what blew your butt out of the water. You know how many people I've given this presentation to, Andy, in Primerica? You know what they all say? This is why I joined. This is what I love about the company, but they forgot. It's like forgetting the rule of 72 and thinking you can sell mutual funds. Next one, Darla. Again, how do you blow people's butt out of the water? Rule of 72. Let me explain something to you. People have heard of the word compounding, but they've never had it explained. We must teach them compounding to get them to understand our multiplication system. Teach them compounding. They've all heard of it. And maybe some people, 98% of people join Primerica never heard Rule 72. So you've got to teach them compounding and the power of compounding. And next one, how do you do it? Rule of 72, you all know that. Teach them that. You start out with that one. Now you're building a case for compounding. Isn't that great? You're not showing them how they can have 2.5 million. You're showing the power of compounding. This is not anything to do with mutual funds. The next one, Darla, and this is the big one. What happens on a penny a day? Look at that. 1 penny becomes $5.3 million in 10 billion in 31 days. This is the thing that Art Williams taught us and loved so much. 2 things blew his butt out of the water. So you show him Rule 72. Then you show him what? The power of penny a day. And then the next one, Darla, is what? The power of 3. Art Williams said, the magic of multiplication, this is straight from the A.L. Williams way, explosive growth is achieved through multiplication. And he goes through addition, and he goes through multiplication. Remember, in June of 2011, in front of 50-some thousand people, here's how we did it. 3 who get 3 who get 3. We ought to be selling it. Art Williams loves this. You cannot have him do a talk when he doesn't do this. Why? Because he said the gold mine is overrides. Teach your people how to build a team, not to get a team. You build this. You get the first 110 people formed on page 7. What does he say? Get them 3 by 3 by 3, 81 people. And that's 110 people. If only 20% were doing anything, you're making $4,000 a month in overrides. Next one, Darla. The A.L. Williams promise. You're only 1 recruit away from an explosion. It could be the next person you talk to. Let me give you a little clue. Years ago, Andy, we had an RVP meeting, must have had 1,000 RVPs in the room. And the guy who got up there and said, if your upline, the one who personally recruited you, is still in the business, stand up. Less than 10 of us stood up, Andy. I was one. Direct. You weren't direct to Larry. So, directs rarely make it. I go around this country, you'd be shocked at how many great leaders were 4 deep. Mario Arizon was 4 deep. We were down in doing a school in Detroit, and Miguel Illich was there. And we're talking about 4 deep. He said, yeah, I was 4 deep to Omar or whoever, or Willie. I forgot what it was. I think it's Willie. And he said, in fact, the last 2 people I promoted RVP were 4 deep. When you know that the formula says you're 1 recruit away from an explosion, now you know where is that explosion going to happen? Only at 4 deep. Doesn't happen at number 1. And I got to make this guy strong. Darla, that should be it. I don't think there's any more. But understand, you just opened up the vault of Art Williams, found out the formula for success. There's no changes. I train on this. I love this. In fact, during my opportunity meeting, we show most of this. Why? I'm excited about it for them. Most people are embarrassed by it. I'm proud of it. This is what caused us to create so many $1 million earners. Andy, I've got a friend of mine named Mike Tuttle. Mike Tuttle makes about $1.2 million a year in mutual fund overrides. And about 3 years ago, I heard a story, and I called Mike up to verify. Now, he makes $1.2 million in mutual fund overrides. And there was a school many years ago, 5-6 years ago, and Mike was asked to be the MC. I was saying, I'd like to have Andy Young now get up, talk about life insurance. I'd like to have Larry Whiteout come talk about the dying principle. And he said, the next guy is going to get big in Primerica. He's big in mutual funds. Please help me welcome Legg Mason. He thought Legg Mason was a person. He did not even know Legg Mason was the name of the mutual fund company that was paying him about $800,000 a year. He didn't care. He's in a multiplication and distribution business. I'm not in the mutual fund business. I'm not in the insurance business. I'm in the RVP factory, RVP creation, building a company with a company business. And they pay me tons of money in all the various products. It's funny, I was on stage and Mario came up and and he was getting some award. I said, Mario, do you even know what this award is for? He said, no. It was auto and home. He was #1 in auto and home. Mario, you ever tried? No. It's a byproduct, recruiting and building. Andy, I wish your people so well. You folks out there tonight are in the presence of greatness. And you got to have someone care about you. And, I go around the country, Andy, and I do this talk. I hear you're only one of 3 people who talk about this. You, Andy Young, and Gus Gonzalez are the only ones that talk about this in all Primerica. We've got to become those wholesalers of multiplication that our people so desperately need. Thank you, Andy.
Hey, Bill, just one thing before you go. Coming out, that's the deal. I mean, that's what I bought when I came in here 40 years ago. Crazy. I mean, and people just follow it. It's tried and true. But anyway, as you close, if you don't mind, I think there's something about a taxi cab in New York. Remember that story? Why people coming out of this COVID virus, they better get on it. This is the time. Don't think there's other times. I think people tell you there's, they have enough time, they have enough people. They don't have enough time, they don't have enough people. In Field of Dreams, when, the guy was getting a chance to go on the field, he said, well, at the time I thought there'd be other times, but I didn't realize that was the only time. He had his shot and he blew it, and there he goes, moonshine grand, missed his chance. But something about some girl or guy or something in a taxi cab in New York, I think you know that story, right?
No, Andy, I don't.
Reaching for the handle of the taxi cab.
Oh, okay. I got it.
He'll close up with that one. That's my favorite Bill Arender, okay?
No, thank you. It's my favorite too, Andy, because it hits home. And it's a story about a man that is all his life, he's looking for the perfect girl and never finds her. He dates a bunch of girls and he moves into the city, like New York City. And he's dating around, and every girl is just a girl, and he's thinking of not a family. He's thinking about Christmas mornings and a swing set in the backyard, looking for a relationship, a love of his life. And he's been looking, he can't find it. He gets disappointed over and over and over again. And one day it's raining outside. Instead of taking a bus home, he takes decided to take a cab home. And went to the cab stand, and it's raining out pretty good. And a cab came up, a yellow cab back in those days. And he reached for the handle of the door, and in a warm, tender hand touched it at the same time. He looked up, and there was this beautiful woman. And it was instantaneous, a soul kind of soulmate moment. And he was so bewildered because he had found her. And he was thought about Christmas mornings. He thought about picnics in a backyard and relationship for life. But he was so shocked when she said to him, would you like to share the cab? He had a knee-jerk reaction, and he said, no, go ahead. He didn't know why he said it. He just did. He opened the cab door. She got in, closed it. She looked at him. He looked at her, and off goes the cab. About 10 feet later, came to a fishtail. Fishtail stop. She opens up the cab window and he's wondering what she was going to say. And he said, no, it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life to wonder what may have happened if you'd gotten in this cab. And she closed up the window. Off she went. See, it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life to wonder not whether you got into Primerica, not whether or not you filled out an IBA. Did you work the power of the multiples long enough and hard enough till you built your empire by recruiting people, taking them 4 deep, by recruiting their best friend, the best friend, the best friend, and creating that RVP factory through replacements? That's what you're going to wonder for the rest of your life. All right, Andy, that's a great story. I'm glad you reminded me to tell it.
Thank you for everything, Bill, over the years, and appreciate your time tonight. This has been powerful. Appreciate it more than I can tell you. Thanks a lot.
You're not only beloved by the company, Andy, you're beloved by me. I love you, Andy.
Love you too,
Thank
Bill.
you, everybody,
Thanks a lot.
for having me.
Wow.
I love Bill Arender. I'm like you. I love when he comes to speak. I love when he speaks on Sunday morning, and he spends a lot of time talking about the book Thou Shalt Prosper by Daniel Lapin. If you haven't read that, well worth your time and effort, and a real really change how you're thinking about things. But Bill makes everything simple, clear and 100% believable, and it only comes down to the math. Yep. So I personally asked him right before he did that interview with us that when you got to Texas, were you did you have uncertainty? And he said, no, I never had uncertainty. The math is the math. I love that about him.
It's crazy. I mean, talking about what he was able, what was laid out for him if he would have stayed and not gone with art. I mean, it's wild.
And he recruits.
But you got to be sure to walk away from that.
He double-digit recruits, which is before it was a thing, the first month he's there in Texas with the cold market.
Wow.
Double-digit recruiter. I got 10 the first month, he said.
Crazy.
Yep. All right, you guys, back to the rally, right? You're still texting. Let's go ahead and look at the graphic. 404-465-1830. RVP, last name, and your solution number again.
The RVP's last name.
Yeah, I know. That's always a little bit weird right there. But
basically, we want to know who your RVP is, who you are, by your solution number. We're only going to count one text number per vote or whatever we're going to say. You can't report out your whole team in one text message to us.
Yeah, so. Not the whole group. Like you can't say, oh, look, there's 50 of us. I'm going to put them all in one text. We have to have 50 texts.
Yep.
Right? So next,
Sam.
From the vault, as we continue to go down into the vault
heavily
with the best speakers.
Sam is, I was coming up with this earlier, hilariously humble.
Totally.
It's just talking about how many, if he would have gotten a ring for every time he's gone up and down.
I know.
It's like, he's not willing, he's not sugarcoating it.
Nope.
He's not Willy Wonka. He's going to tell you exactly what it's really like. And I think it's an amazing, amazing speech. And check it out next.
And a real treat right now. Just one of my favorites in the business. A guy, I just feel like a kindred spirit. We got kids, as Bob Safford used to say, the threads of success and the fabric of life, just hungry, motivated, want to do something with their life. And Sam's a $2 million earner, over $2 million, got an unbelievable hierarchies. That's plural, hierarchies. I know some people out there got archies, and low archies, but he's got two big hierarchies. And, he just started out like everybody else. So what I want to start with Sam, let me see if Sam, there you are, Sam. Hey, just want to start out with, just kind of growing up. I know $2 million, we're going to get to that and the dream and all that. But what's a kid, growing up, just want to go do something, I believe working at Delta. Just talk about, your background and kind of your story a little bit.
Well, hey, Andy, good to be on here with you, hero. And, man, I appreciate you and all I've learned from you over the years. And, I appreciate you always keep the old school Art Williams, A.L. Williams, man. That's where I grew up with A.L. Williams, man. So I love doing it that way. I was born in Philadelphia. Parents divorced when I was a kid. We moved to Atlanta, where we went from poor. In Philly, we were poor. We went to Atlanta. I found what real poverty was when we moved out down south. And but you just go to school, work hard. I worked a lot of jobs, a lot of labor jobs. Never had a job where I wore a suit or a tie, anything like that. I just always wore uniforms. Almost every job I had. The last job I had, I dropped out of college to work at the airlines. I was actually working for Eastern, not Delta. I was working for Eastern, and I did a lot of different things there. But the last thing I did there was load planes. It was a good job as jobs went. I was bringing home $22,000 a year, which in 1981, when I left, that was considered pretty good pay. And I saw Primerica, I saw A.L. Williams, and man, when I saw A.L. Williams, it just captured my heart. I mean, I hate when people get ripped off. I've always had a passion against anybody that's ripping people off. And when I saw what was happening in the insurance industry, how they were ripping off me, my mom, my dad, I just saw that it just seemed illegal to me that you could even sell a product as bad as cash value insurance. I mean, how can they even let that be sold anywhere? That was in my mind. And one thing that made me work hard when I came in, I really didn't see this business lasting forever, because I'm like, it's so common sense. We talk about bank A, bank B, bank A being cash value, bank B, buy term invested difference. I was like, who's going to buy bank A? I mean, certainly everybody's going to wake up like I'm waking up, and they're going to buy bank B. And but I'm going to help as many people as I can while, the getting is good. And I got a chance. I joined on a Thursday night. I was so blessed that the next day, first of all, thank God for the opportunity to be on here. Christ is the source of my life, it's the head of my life. And I saw Art on a Friday. The very next day, I'm in the base shop with the great Harold and Lane Crafter, and I'll join on a Thursday night. On that Friday, they were having this thing they called a fast start school. They said, you need to come. So I go to the fast start school, and I'll never forget it. I mean, it's just, I can always see it in my mind. Bill Orenda was the guest speaker. Art was like the host of the meeting, and Rusty Crossan was the MC. And that meeting really changed my life, because I went there thinking, man, this is good. This is what we do is good for people, and you can make some good part-time cash there. After that meeting, after hearing Art Williams, after hearing Bill and Rusty, I'm like, man, this is bigger than part-time. This is something, this could be a career. So I totally changed my mindset after hearing Art and Rusty and Bill, and continue to spend time with Harold and other great leaders in his company. And next thing I knew, I was quitting my job. 4 months later, I was full time. And again, I grew up with no money. My parents divorced, no money. Great people, just no money, no resources. So I had limited dreams because I didn't have, but my vision, because I'd never been exposed to a lot. And so for me, making $100,000 in a year was like, oh my God, if I could do that, I actually would have signed a contract for $50K a year. Art could have bought me off $50K a year for the rest of your life. I'd have signed that contract at a heartbeat. $100K a year. I probably would have signed for 25 a year, actually. So I was only making 22. And so this thing just, it blew me away what happened, coming in here and being able to compete every day, like we did when we were kids, like you did playing ball. And here we are now, grown men, grown women in this company. And every month we get to compete again.
And the do it speech, everybody loves to talk about the do it speech, do it, but how's Zane selling Art? Sell it anyway. I was off everything in my other company, you really got to do. So they love doing all that quote, but I always like to go back to the very first line of the do it speech. And Art says, I believe in these United States, it takes a certain kind of mental toughness to win. And the challenge for people, and I think some of them think that means meanness. Hell, it don't cost nothing to be nice to everybody. I mean, not being nice could cost you maybe a lawsuit. I mean, be nice to everybody, like Art said, 3rd grade, 8 years old, everybody's got a sign on them which says, say something nice about me. And some of them got a flashing sign in the business. We do in the people business. But it's not meanness, but it's toughness. And through the early days, and even as you go through, there's all kinds of mountains to climb and things that happen. If you're going to run a dadgum business, you better bring 2 lunches and get it on. Just talk about the mental toughness it takes and some of the challenges that, you just got to suck it up and keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, things are going to happen. Early, early on in the business, I remember the first mentally tough thing I had to deal with. I just gotten going into business. I'm full time. And I go to the office. And I'm in the office with Harold, and Harold's standing outside the office. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? I see a couple of people standing outside. I said, what's going on, Doc? And I've quit, I'm full time. He said, Shep, man, we lost the office. He said, I just wasn't able to maintain the rent. I got my house here that he was renting a place here in Atlanta. He had his house back in Macon. He said, I'm overextended. And then he said, what you gonna do? So I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, I came full time with you. I thought I was going to work here in this office with you. Now you're asking me, what am I going to do? I said, well, I don't know, Doc. I guess I'll figure it out. I got to think about it a little bit. And I actually ended up going, I was about to go RVP, and in the old days, the real days of Prop America, you gave up everybody to go RVP, which I actually like that better. Because you didn't have any politicking, when people get ready to go, where they start trying to hide their new recruits and, they tell them, wait, don't come to the office yet. Wait till I make my replacement. All that kind of stuff happens. And back in the old days, you gave up everybody and you kept going. You didn't care because you just want the RVP contract. Because you knew if you build it once, you can build it over and over. You got to be able to build it over and over and over and over again. And so that was a turning point for me to just figure this thing out. Okay, we don't have an office. What am I going to do? Harold taking my replacement. And the one person he was going to take, I had a cousin up in Michigan. He said, well, I don't want to deal with those people up there. Ain't no Zoom back then. So you definitely don't want to deal with people that far away. And I made a decision to move to Michigan temporarily to earn my full RVP promotion. That was the only people I was going to have left. And that was tough. And I went up there and it didn't go it went good for a little while, and then it went bad. And I actually did my numbers to become an RVP up there, but it just, long term, it just wasn't me. I didn't like Michigan. And no hate on those who live there. I got great friends there, Tyrone Kell and a whole bunch of others. The buyers live up there sometimes. But anyway, for me, Michigan was not the place for me. And I ended up coming back. And guess what? So I went up there, I was disappointed, lost everything, came back home to Atlanta, broke, had to restart. And guess what? You just restart. I just restarted, calling people again, just like I just redid my business. And I've had to restart. I've had a series of setbacks in my career. Probably got some more coming up. I mean, you always hear you either going into, coming out of, or in the midst of, a disaster. Those kind of things are always happening. But it's not, we know the saying, it's not how hard you get hit, but it's can you get up behind a hard hit? How many times you keep getting up? So for me, no matter what happens, whether it's, I've been through all kind of things, all kind of stuff, and I just keep getting up. And if I wake up, I get up and I go fight again. And so you got to have that mentality that you're not going to stop because something bad happened. Because if that's the case, get out the business now. Something bad is getting ready to happen to you. But it's your ability to put that in perspective and keep moving and keep loving on people, even when people disappoint you, when people turn their back on you. I got a lot of knives in my back. Andy, I know you probably got a gazillion knives in your back because you got a much bigger hierarchy than me. But guess what? Our ability to keep smiling, keep fighting, keep pushing, doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what people say. Doesn't matter who quits. As long as you don't quit. That's the thing. I've never quit. I've had people making hundreds of thousands of dollars quit, but I didn't quit. And that's the mentality you got to have. I'm not quitting.
Back in the day, I remember when Art had a QBI problem, and they told him, Stanley Byer told him they're going to fire him, right immediately. And he had a fast start school he's going into, and he said, nope, forget it. We're going to meet Monday morning. Yeah, we're going to meet Monday morning to fire you over your QBI. Art Williams, right? And he gets in there, fires everybody up Friday, Saturday, goes in there basically on his knees on Monday. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it straight, like a lot of other people. But think about the company. I mean, he gave us like an 18-point pay cut. We didn't get paid till the policy was issued, and that was with a company that couldn't really issue a policy, and we might have to wait 2-3 months to have to get a paycheck, promotions, all that kind of stuff. So we had I call it a bunch of punks just went out the door. They couldn't handle not getting paid for a couple months, something silly like that. But I laugh about today. Think about the Zoom world, where we are, your business, my business, Primerica's business right now. And I have people today, they hit send before 10 o'clock on Monday and call me Thursday and say, the check didn't get there. They'll call Friday and say, it took an extra day to get the check. Talk about some of the crap we kind of just plowed through, and then where we are today and how just unbelievable it is.
Man, I think about the old days of getting paid. We thought it was big. We got paid twice a week, Tuesday night and Friday night. So I always got paid once a week on my job, my last job. So, and I've been on jobs where I got paid once a month. So I thought Tuesday and Friday was incredible. But, in those days, you sit down with a client, I go sit down and talk to you, Andy. I got to do an analysis. You got policies. I got to go analyze your policies. So I got to come back and break it down. You had to be a real expert of the business, because we had to go and break the policy down, put in all those values. You learn to read a policy. I go fill out that form, take it. Now I got to take it out to ADS. And being here in Atlanta, I just would take the ADS. I can't believe that I felt good about walking in this building with the green shag carpet on the floor, and I'm turning in my ADS stuff to them to do the analysis of the policy. If you got to wait on that to come back in the mail 2, 3, 4 weeks later, maybe, then you go back, take it, try to make the sale. You got to sign the replacement forms. You got to sign all this, all this negative stuff. You got to get the client to read to say that, really saying what a crook we are is what the state forms were saying, and trying to get the client to change his mind. We get them to sign that. Then we got to mail that off to the company and hope that 2, 3, 4 more weeks later, we're going to get a paycheck. I mean, people don't understand. Like you said, people today get mad. They do an app on Monday and they don't get paid Monday night. They're like, what's going on? I did that. I got to wait a day. I got to wait 2 days. Man, that's how it was. I mean, we were so broke all the time. We would ride out we wouldn't even let them mail the checks to Harold's office. We would call the office. I remember Rusty's dad was there working back there in the mail room, and a guy named Larry Boyd. I'll never forget Mr. Crossan and Larry Boyd. And we call, we say, hey, before you mail it out, 01081, that was Harold's solution number. 01081, you got any checks? And it was so, we had a big check. Seemed like Larry got mad. Like, yeah, you got a check. We get out there. We don't know what it was, but we drive out to distribution we're over by the airport. We drive all the way to distribution and pray that the check was enough for us to get some lunch. Have some. We like, we got $100, $200. I think of the excitement of getting $200, $300. But guess what? But we loved it. That's what we did because we knew we were on a mission. We were on a crusade. We were getting after credentials, but we knew we were making a difference. And so it didn't even matter. The tougher it was, like the better it was. I think a lot of us, we're too soft today. It was so easy today. It's just a little technology. But man, back in the day, you had to go get it. You had to get in somebody's face. We had to deal with enemy confrontations. It's almost unheard of today because the enemy pretty much put their hands up. They don't even want to fight anymore. But back in the day, man, you had to go, you had to sell it, then you had to go back, you had to resell it, then you deliver the policy, you had to resell it. That's just how it was back then. But I loved it, man. I wouldn't trade anything for those days, those hard times.
Yeah, so fast forward now, so we all get sent home on, quarantine virus for a couple months, and a lot of people say, well, you got that the kneecap company and a bunch of renegades, and how's this going to happen? Really with the company, they had set up the technology, and you and I sat in meetings, and I'm probably thinking, well, we spend all these tens of millions of dollars and all this crap, But boy, they loaded up on the front end to get, who knows, probably divine intervention to get us ready for the moment. And when that happened, just fast forward to the company we have now and how we just plowed through this whole thing.
Man, my mind is blown. Yeah, I had a Zoom account, like you were talking, I had a Zoom account for a couple of years, never used it. I think somebody had me do a call for them, and their meeting was on Zoom. So I got a Zoom account to jump on for them. But I never used it for any of my meetings, never used it in business. And so suddenly, I remember the 1st of March when all the quarantine stuff starts coming, and Meanie Lane were headed to Maui with Harold and Lane Crafton. So we're going down there for this 1 week event we were part of. And it hadn't shut down, but they're just talking about, COVID and Corona, whatever the negative thought for the day, whatever the biggest negative of the day is what the news covers. And so we're down there, we're down there for a week, and we're watching back home, hearing about, hey, coach, so we're going to have to stop having meetings. The city of Atlanta can't have meetings anymore. I said, we can't have meetings. So in my mind, all I know now, 39 years in business, is my Monday morning meetings, live, Thursday night out meetings, Saturday training. That's how we built the business. And so I'm kind of and we're off to a real good start in the month of March. Our base shop was actually like #1 in the nation for the first few weeks. So we're off to this great start. And I'm like, man, I don't know what's going to happen. We're off to such a great start, but I'm just going to believe that great things going to happen. They tell me about the Zoom technology, which I really don't understand a lot, but I just know I got it. I'm like, okay, so we do everything Zoom, and we make the transition to Zoom. And we finished that month. Our base shop did 112,000. Our hierarchy broke our record. We did like 700 and some thousand, the main part of the hierarchy. The other side of our hierarchy with Alex and Claudia Santabria, Michael Lillienberg, Lorenzo and Daniela Carrion, the Leons, Carlos and Monica, that side, the great superstars, they did about 400,000. So I'm like, man, that was the biggest month in history. And I was in Hawaii for 2 weeks. We stayed an extra week at the quarantine. Like, we ain't going home. It was still good over there, so we stayed. We come back to Atlanta quarantine, so I hadn't left the house. We set an all-time record in the month of March. We come back in April and do $1 million in production. I've never done that before. We did $1 million in production, and we recruited like 800 people in the main part of our. We did a total of about $1.4 million, 1.5 combined hierarchy. And then we come back in May and we do it even bigger. We do 1.1, almost 1.2 million in our main hierarchy. We recruited 990 people. We had 1,000 on the computer till the final. We lost a couple bad checks went in there, I guess. But just to even see 1,000 recruits a month, I've never seen that. We used to dream about, could we do $1 million a month and recruit 1,000 a month? We said that's where greatness to us really starts. And we ended up doing the Santa Bria Burke side of our hierarchy. They did almost 80,000. They recruited 400 some people. So we recruited about 1,400 people, which is a record for us. Incomes I think we had 11 base shops last month do over $50,000. 14 did over 40,000. These are records for us. We had more people. Angie Reed Hogan had her best month ever. Angie and Randy made $108,000 last month. Alice and Claudia made $142,000 last month. Elaine and I, in one side of our hierarchy, we made $250,000. And folks, I came in here making $1,900 a month. I'm a college dropout. We made another $36,000 in the other codes, so we made like $286,000, and we're quarantined. I'm scared for it to end. I want to just stay home. I'm scared to get out. I mean, it's going too good from right here. So this is the business we're in. Thank God for what Glenn and Peter and all the leadership are doing up at Primerica, and the 2,000 people, that most of them working from home to help us to support our businesses. And it's happening, not just with our team, but we see it. I know it's happening in your hierarchy, Andy. It's happening all over Primerica. We are not only recession proof, which we knew that, but now we find out we're pandemic proof, and we're just bulletproof. I mean, that's the company we got, and it's amazing to see what's happening right now. It's amazing.
That's great stuff. And just finally, wrap up with however long you want to take. But what's it like to be Sam Shepard today? Because I will tell you what, we mirror careers. I'm 1 year longer than you, but I mean, we've been through all the same stuff, the same wars. And I mean, I know not just the great leader you are in Primerica and looked up to as a mentor and a leader, but you're a mentor and a leader in life. A great man, and just for anybody in the country, anybody in the world. The world's a better place because you. But what's it like? Some of the perks, some of the things, some of the places you've been, the kids, whatever. What's it like to be Sam Shepard?
Well, Andy, thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words, and man, it's the lifestyle you can have because of Primerica, the freedom, the flexibility, to be able to, like I said, to take 2 weeks in Maui. How do you take 2 weeks in Maui and end up making that month? We were paid about $200,000, and while and running 100K in the base, we came back. We promoted also. We have promoted my 4th RVP in the last 6 months. So we're not just keeping people in and the base is wrong. We promoted 4 direct RVPs, numbers 21, 2, 3, and 4 direct. So now 24 directs. Set a record, 600 plus thousand through first last month. And just incredible kind of things are happening. But to be able to do things for our kids, we got 3 sons, and to be able to bless those 3 sons, 2 of them are married. We got 3 grandsons, so we're all big, and we got a 4th grandson on the way. Those kind of things, it's unbelievable. We're blessed. We got some condos we own down in Sandestin, Florida, a place I learned about because of man Randall Walker took us down there years ago, and we loved it so much. That's always my favorite place, but my favorite place I can get to more often is Sandestin, Florida. It's something about Sandestin. We just love it. And we were just down there with 2 of our teammates who also, one of them, Bain and Carolyn Jefferson, who just exploded in their business. They're in Jackson, Mississippi area, just went over $400,000 in income. And they have a condo down there, and we have a couple of them down there. And it was just hanging out down there, having fun. But through Zoom, I'm still doing my morning meetings, still talking about base shop. We're down there. We're out. We're about 25, 30,000 this month. For the base shop, and expecting to go back over 100, fighting to go back over 100. And we just see people. It's just amazing to have the flexibility to do for your grandkids. My grandson is 11 today, my oldest grandson, and be able to send him. He's a good kid, so you'll be able to bless him and say, "What do you want?" And he wants amazing. He wants books. So I don't know what's going on, but I was a big reader coming. He wants some books, and he wants some, the games, the stuff the kids want today. But it's a blessing to be able to just send it to them. To be able to do things in our church. We're serving on the board of our church and ministries at our church, and we do a lot with the Band of Brothers and Hearts of Beauty. And we're able to fund those things and give to a lot of, for us, it's really about making an impact, making a difference. And we're being able to do that. And we pray that God will help us to do a lot more of that. But just be able to see people in need and meet a need, to be able to do things, to make my wife happy. My wife doesn't ask for a lot, but what she does want to do, it's a blessing for me to be able to say, okay, babe, we'll go over here, we'll do that. And so we've been surrounded by so many great mentors like yourself and others, Andy, that keep it real and have taught us about, as Art always, be lean and mean. I never saw Art, we got it's a little too much flash sometimes in Primerica today, a little too much on the material stuff. And for some people, that's what they love. And I guess hallelujah to them. But for me, I just know that I've gotten in financial trouble before. And because of that, those bad decisions, I learned to make better decisions and listen. And I just value experiences. And I think more than anything else, that's why I'll close on Primerica. When you achieve some financial success and you become financially independent, you have an opportunity to have great experiences. And to me, more so than anything else, is spending time with people we love, spending time with your family, and going great places, having great, we've been around the world. We've been to Paris, we've been to Israel, we've been to Spain, we've been to Italy, we've been pretty much everywhere we really wanted to go. But we're just grateful for that. And we're thankful. And we love seeing other people have those great experiences and taking people with us to do great things. So for us right now, we're just very grateful. We're grateful for Primerica. Man, I'm so grateful for Art and Angela, those original 85 people. And so, man, so glad, so thankful. I'm in a hierarchy with, the Harold and Lane Crafter, Mary and Mandy Walker, now the late great Randall Walker, and Bobby and Red. They're all original 85. And so I'm just grateful. And I'm grateful that I sat under Art Williams for about the first 10 years of my career. I'm just grateful that we had Art and Angela pouring into us. So I think that, I love the new Primerica, but man, I will never, I'm so grateful for the old A.L. Williams days, man. I love A.L. Williams, and A.L. Williams has made a difference, and it continues to make a difference. And because of the pioneers of A.L. Williams, and you're in that group, man, and because of what you guys have done, we have this incredible thing today, this Primerica 2.0, as I call it, because it's a brand new Primerica. We have that, and I truly believe, as my wife always says, the best is yet to come. I truly believe that.
Absolutely. And Sam, the big thing, I started with the do it speech, the mental toughness, but the end of the do it speech is how great it is to have done it and got the job done, and how proud you are. And you're definitely a guy who's done it. You've been the example, the mentor, the leader. And you're still doing it, man. That's what's fun. Hey, I can't play football anymore, but I can play Primerica, and I love playing the game with you. I love sitting with you at the convention and joking around and messing around. You're like my brother in the business, and appreciate you over the years. Love you, buddy, and thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you, Andy. Love you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sam Shepard is incredible. I love him. I love chatting with him and just talking to him about his story and all that he's done. He is the highest paid African American SNSD in Primerica. He's a $2 million earner. And as you've heard, it was not without some struggle, right? So, but the key is he didn't quit.
Yep.
Right? The only way you lose is to quit. And so as long as you can keep at it, and your time will come when the time is right. So we are in the final section. You guys can still text until we actually turn off YouTube.
Yeah.
So keep at it. You've got a lot to do while Rob and I fill these last 2 or 3 minutes. We're going to have Trish come back and join us. And then remind us one more time in the last couple minutes what they can do.
Right. You've got to do your RVP, your RVP's name, and your personal solution number. And if you don't have your solution number, either XXX or guest. But I'm counting. It's rolling in, so we're doing great. And again, you got to be present, even
when we're recording.
Even we're not,
because we're still watching.
Because we will be next week.
Yep. So we're going to be back live next week, and we're going to recognize both this week's winner and last week's winner from the I don't know what we're going to call it, the
players,
the rally,
right?
when no one's watching.
The rally. Oh, I love that. The rally when nobody's watching winners.
Yep.
Right? You're playing when nobody was watching.
Well, you guys are watching.
Well,
you're watching this right now, but when we're not watching you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're always watching you.
Pat's watching.
Trish is watching live.
Making a list, checking it twice.
We're watching your comments. We're watching your social. Continue to do all that stuff. Interact amongst yourself. We'll be out there putting our 2 cents in as we go. Right,
One last
social.
time. Text numbers 404-465-1830.
Right.
This is your last chance.
You got like 10 seconds, because then Robin, Trish, and I are going to say
1 week.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great week. We will be live with you next Tuesday on the 28th with all kinds of cool stuff to announce.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
See y'all later.
All right, you guys, was that not an incredible show? I hope you took notes for everybody. mean, every time I've gone back and listened to those guys more times than I can tell you. So one thing that we want to talk about is like, Get Big or Go Home, AKA Winston-Salem, right? It's coming up August 7th and 8th. I'm going to show you what the hours are going to be so you can start getting your teams together on Friday, August 7th from 8 to 10 p.m. If you are part of the huddle, which would be you have been double.
Are these all Eastern time?
Yes, they are
Okay.
all Eastern time. Thank you for the reminder. So on August 8th for the huddle VIP, the huddle will be from 9 to 10 a.m. and you will get a Zoom invite if you are part of the VIP. And then the actual meeting itself is going to run from 11 a.m. on August 8th until 3 p.m. And you're not going to believe the lineup, Rob.
Yeah. So we got 3 SNSD featuring on the special guests. We got Francis Averett, man, is going to be amazing. And then we've got Ron Schmidt Jr. and Bruce Koch. And we're going to hear from the man himself. Andy's going to talk about how he's produced 22 RVPs since the IPO, only working 3 days a week. And he's added $600,000 a year in his override income as a result of that work. So he's going to do it. It's called an Andy's Power Play. So he's going to give you insight on how he did that.
$50,000 a month increase.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy? So, and then the other thing we want to make sure you put in the calendar is on July 28th, next Tuesday training is the awesome and one of the most incredible original founders of A.L. Williams, SNSD, Rusty Crossland will be here.
Yeah.
So at rally, we're counting the rally as we talk. Even as you and I are talking right now, Trisha's counting the rally.
Yep. So get your people in. You got a few moments left to get those in. And, make sure after we go off the air, go to getbigorgohome.com. Make sure you get a registration in your name so you can be included in that VIP huddle if you've done the numbers, because you have to have a ticket in your name. So make sure everybody on your team's got a ticket so they can access this amazing event we've got coming up.
Did you know Walter Charles has won 4 times the rally?
I've heard
Isn't
he's
that a
got
great graphic?
another picture coming in.
He's got it. It's up. You can see it right now.
Awesome.
So who's going to be next, right? Is Walter going to keep running or is somebody going to step out?
Awesome.
See y'all next week live.
Bye.
Bye.